This is a continuation of the 2004 Cayley, which we left off at question 14, just finishing question 13. So question 14 is, if x and y are positive numbers and average of 4, 20, and x is equal to the average of y and 16, then the ratio of x to y is. So firstly, we just do exactly what the question asks. We have the average of 4, 20, and x, which is right here, and we make it equal to the average of y and 16, which is right here. And then we just simplify it by adding these together and dividing it by 3, getting 16 and dividing it by 2. And since we have it simplified, we can just simplify it again to x divided by 3 equals y divided by 2. And then we can just see that if we multiply both sides by 6, we just get 2x equals 3y, which makes it easier to see that for every 3 x's, we get 2 y's. In the diagram, B, C, and D lie on a straight line, with ACD equaling 100 degrees, an angle ABD equaling x, and etc. Basically just describing this diagram. What they're asking for is the value of x. So how do we find this? Firstly, let's just see what we can find. We know that a straight line is 180 degrees, and since we know this, then we know that this angle right here is 80 degrees. And then we just see, okay, we have two triangles. Any two triangles have interior angles of 180 degrees. We can just exploit this, and because these two would be the same, we can do y plus 2x plus 80 equals y plus x plus 100. And we see that if we cancel out these y's, we get x equals, and we just move this 80 to the other side because x equals 20. 16. This is talking about a dice game. Basically, his score is the larger of two numbers on a dice if a player rolls a dice. What is the probability that his score is 3 or less? So how do we find this? We see that because the score is the larger of the two numbers on the dice, the dice must have 3 or lower. We can see that it can either be dice 1 or dice 2, because if we have dice 1 being, for example, 2 and dice 2 being 1, then here we can also have dice 2 being 2 and dice 1 being 1. So if we find that dice 1 can be 1, dice 2 can be 1, dice 1 can be 2, dice 2 can be 1 or 2, dice 1 can be 3, dice 2 can be 1, 2, or 3. These scores would all still be 3 or less. And because we don't want to repeat, let's say, dice 2 being 1 and dice 1 being 1, then we just have these numbers on the bottom. So you count them in total: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 possibilities for the score being 3 or lower. So then we see that overall, if dice 1 has 6 options and dice 2 also having 6 options, because there are 6 numbers on the dice, we use 6 times 6 equals 36, which means that there's 36 total possibilities that we can have for 2 dice. So we find that 9 of these get a score of 3 or less out of these 36, which is still just a fourth.